Hey, it's Uncle Chubbs, and in this video we're going to talk a little bit about attributes and specifically on how they're assigned and their role within the universe. Now, as you see, we got humans. They're standard, overall, adaptable to the world. They can pretty much do whatever, and they are capable of being wherever, more or less. And their attributes are specifically they're mostly dependent on their parents. Were their parents powerful or were they weaker? That would more or less determine that. They are generally weaker out of all of the other, you can call them races in a sense, just because they start from the very bare minimum and work their way up. But the most powerful of people though are mostly humans though, just because there's a lot of them and they have the higher chance of becoming powerful. Now, we do also have something similar to elves. I'm not exactly too sure what I'm going to have them specifically called. I'm leaning towards myrrh and other types of myrrh, but elves also generally come out of my mouth first. But they also are naturally in tune to their environment. They have different types of environments for these elves, and so different types of elves and powers. These people are also naturally more powerful at the very beginning of birth comparatively to humans, just because they are more in tune to nature and their environment, whereas humans, they are not. Next, we have mechanical beings, which they can be like androids, cyborgs, robots, etc. Really depends on exactly what you're looking for. But with them, they obviously have adjustable parts. It's harder to permanently kill them. You can damage part of them, but they can just get it replaced later. They also can control neutral energy or mechanical energy, which that necessarily is just kind of like potential kinetic and any other type of energy forces throughout the world. My bad. And there, it's pretty much energy that is not life or death. Anything that is anything else, realistically. And I call it neutral just because it has no leniency of controlling or giving life or giving death. We also have your underdwellers, which they can be called orcs, trolls, goblins, or anything along that line. But in this world, they're underdwellers just because they mostly live in caves, mountains, underground, or they're more or less never seen on the surface. Now, they pretty much are just like the elves or Mer, and they have underground environmental powers. Now, they're more specific, where they can only do like earth or some fire, metal, and they do shadow stuff as well. Now, they can be very dangerous, and they're very I can't remember which one's which. But they pretty much are hostile to anyone that is not them. You also have your halflings, which they're hybrids of any of the ones that I just named, these four. They can be pretty much any of them combined. And, or they're mixtures with animals. So you could have a human half elf, and even they can turn into a deer if need be. They're part deer. You could have just a human that turns into a deer, or an elf that turns into a falcon, an underdweller that can turn into worms. That can possibly be very useful. Androids or cyborgs that can actually turn into like bears would be very terrifying. Mechanical bears that can destroy. Now, they're just called halflings, but some people call them hybrids depending on what type of combinations they are. Halflings are like a derogative form of saying it, like it's kind of in a bad sense, where calling someone a hybrid would be more of a better sense. But naturally, halflings is the term for them. Now, throughout this universe, it's common for anyone to be any of these. If you were to play this game, read the story, or read anything without or experience anything within the universe, somebody's something within this, or you can experience anything within these. Now, the more uncommon ones are these two, demons and spirits. To be a demon, you have to be dead, and to stay a demon, you have to stay dead. Simple enough. They can be killed like anything. They act like living things. But they're harder to kill since they are all technically dead and they don't resort on functioning organs to fully supply their life. Where spirits actually have no physical being. Now with demons, more or less, if you ever first start out ever playing the game, you won't be able to just straight up be a demon right away. It's really powerful, and out of anything, these two are the most powerful things within the planet. Just even being one can consider you being a planetary risk, as long as you are just doing whatever you want. Whereas if you were a demon and you did your own thing secretively, no one necessarily knew you were a demon, and you did nothing totally destructive, or people actually don't find you doing it, then you'd be cool as long as you keep to yourself. Where spirits, you find them in nature outside of cities and shit like that. My bad, I didn't mean to say that. You also will find them more or less scattered throughout the world in forms of other living things or elements, where they pretty much are naturally there by nature. Where demons, they also take random forms too, but they're of things that have died. We'll go into those more detailed later. Thank you for watching, and I'll post more soon.